Good morning. It's September the 19th, election eve here in Canada, and decided to come out here west of the Lewvan today, get up on the path and walk out that way. I've done it before, but not for a while. Bit breezy, about 15 degrees at the moment, maybe less. It's a cool breeze, but I'll soon feel warmer. So we're going to go up on the dike here. Probably some wind noise. I didn't put the little furry ball on. I should have today, except it doesn't fit. It's the second time. It's the same thing I had with the other microphone I had. The little furry ball that's supposed to cut the wind noise doesn't fit. It's very weird. Looks like they're designed to be on a round one, and instead they're on a but the microphones aren't round, they're kind of rectangular or oval. It's the off-leash dog park over there with all the off-leash dogs. That's the Caledonia Curling Club over there. And that's a seagull on the path. I parked at the Italian club there. Oh yeah, every time I come out here there's lots of wind noise. In fact, it's windy enough that the gimbal's having trouble keeping the camera pointing straight. Oh, I have to shelter with my hand to keep it from blowing around on the gimbal. I didn't expect that. I'm pretty sure the wind noise must be atrocious. And hopefully the fact it's a Hi Peter, happy Sunday to you too. As I brave the teeth of this rather bracing prairie wind. Anyway, there's the dog park. They can run around, there's water, other dogs. I actually took a look at the road over there, Sandra Schmerler Way it's called, because I think that was her home curling club. Of course, she was an Olympic champion. But it's not very walker friendly and not much to see, so I don't think I'll walk that way. I'll stick to the little footpath here. Part of the same pathway I walk on all over the place in Regina, because it goes on for kilometers. Oh, train. Too bad I'm not over there right under the bridge. Could have taken the shortcut, which might have actually get me there while it's still going, but I'm not that concerned about being under the train. There you go, the Kathy Lauritsen Memorial Off-Leash Dog Park, to give it its formal name. Whole list of rules. I don't think my cat would enjoy a visit to it. The dogs might enjoy having a cat visit it, but I don't think the cat would enjoy it. Bunch of mostly rail cars, mostly grain cars, it looks like, on that train, which is not surprising given where we are in the time of the year. Sometimes there could be 100 cars or more in one of those. But not this one. There's the end already. No caboose. You generally don't see cabooses? Caboosei? What's the plural of caboose? Cabooses, I guess. anymore. I can even remember, I mean, that was a thing back in the 80s. I can remember that happening when I was working at the Weyburn Review. And of course, the unions for the trains wanted cabooses because it was jobs. But the trains, a lot of them were having just what was called an end of train unit, which served the same basic function as the caboose, which was to look down the length of the train and try to keep an eye out for problems. And the end of train unit, as I recall, did things like measuring, keeping an eye out for stuck brakes or things like that. We'll go under the 13th Avenue Bridge here. It's the next exciting thing to happen while the dogs continue playing in the park with their people. Pretty sure that's supposed to be a mirror, but it's not there. Because the mirrors help you see if there's somebody coming. Down by the creek here. Looking a bit odd to me again. With this wind, I was noticing a lot of trees were dropping leaves today. It's quite sheltered here. It was very windy up there. As you can see, the reason it's sheltered is because that tree is enjoying the breeze. Path will take us by the Royal Regina Golf Club. Most bicyclists are not very good about ringing their bells to let you know they're coming. I had no idea those two were there until they almost were on top of me. Supposed to be partly cloudy today, which is certainly the way it started. Yesterday it did go to 33 degrees, which is something like 90 Fahrenheit. So just this quick blast of heat, and then today it won't even break 20, which is like 68 Fahrenheit. So I don't know where that came from yesterday, what the weather, the meteorological explanation for it was. You can see Mosaic Stadium over there in the distance, in a bit of downtown. Of course, that's the rail line that the train just went along over this here bridge. See, the shortcut would have been through there. I might have gotten here while the train was still going if I'd come that way. And this would be the main CP line, the Transcontinental Railway, Canadian Pacific. The National Dream. It's the name of a book by Pierre Burton that tells the history. Well, there are 2 or 3 in that series about the building of the Canadian Pacific. You always get graffiti under here. Golf course, just the other side of that fence, right over there. Royal Regina Golf Course. Not entirely sure why there's barbed wire here. I guess it's more to keep people off the railroad tracks than to keep them off of the path, I guess. See, Regina Golf Club. And again, this is part of the Trans-Canada Trail, because this is the same path I was walking on last Sunday up in the northwest. If I kept walking, I would get there, but I'm not going that far today. From here, probably take me most of an hour to get to where I was last Sunday. And then I'd have to come back. Of course, this is interesting. At one point, this was its own community, McNabb, and there's a whole little thing here telling you about McNabb when it was its own community. I don't see anybody on the golf course except the groundskeeper there. I think there'd be somebody out playing on this lovely morning. Perhaps I just haven't gotten this far. I don't know which hole this is. I've never played the course. I don't play much golf. I've never played the Royal Regina. We have friends who are members. But my wife is a member out at the Wascana Country Club. So I'm more likely to go out there to take advantage of the clubhouse, even though neither one of us have been playing recently. I haven't swung a golf club this year. Nice view down the greens and the fairways. Scenic bit of the creek there with the trees. Danger thin ice, they just don't bother taking those down. They're up year round. Well, that one's either dead or just dropped its leaves in a hurry. More golf course. Cyclists who didn't tell me they were coming. Especially with the wind, I can't hear them, so they go by like that. I could easily have turned and hit them because I had no idea they were there. Cyclists don't think about that, and I didn't either when I rode a bike more along here than I walked. But now that I've walked, I realize just how annoying that is. So they've got lights and they've got helmets, but they didn't bother to signal that they were behind a pedestrian. A little pet peeve of mine that has developed as I've done more walking along the path. I haven't been hit yet, but it could happen. There's the clubhouse way over there. All these houses have a nice backyard view of the golf course and the open space and the creek. It's Wascana Creek, same creek that forms Wascana Lake. Still haven't spotted a player though on their course. There must be somewhere. There must be somebody playing. It's a bit breezy, but not enough to stop a dedicated player. Several bridges over the creek in the golf course. They go back and forth over it. Now, I could walk down that way, right by the clubhouse. Quickly, you run out of town, and then I'd just be walking on a kind of a country road. Just might be interesting, but not all that scenic once you get up through the trees over there. Also, no actual sidewalk to speak of. So, I think I'll stick to the path. But yeah, that goes to the golf course and also the Rcmp, Royal Canadian Mounted Police Depot, training depot. Optimist Park right now. So I'll have no pessimism from anybody watching. This park is only for optimists. So I've been over there by the training depot, but that's where all the, every Mountie in Canada trains here. And if they graduate, because there is a fairly high dropout rate or failure rate, then they get assigned somewhere in Canada. Tentative plan is to go up to Dewdney and then come back along Dewdney and then go into the neighborhood over here as I work my way back towards the car. There's actually a path along the Lewvan that'll take me under the railroad bridge there, so I'll probably take that on the way back. Ah yes, the hill. I'll go up it. There we go. He told me he was going by, so that was nice. Hi, Charles. That's a long note. What does it say? "72 Fahrenheit, 97% humidity, and cloudy." Yeah, it's about, as I was saying, it's what? It would be in the maybe 60-ish range at the moment, Fahrenheit. Quite breezy, partly cloudy. Originally, they had forecast quite a bit of rain today, but it never materialized. They took that off the forecast some time ago. We'll go up the hill. It's more for bicyclists than pedestrians. But yeah, yesterday it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and a bit over actually. And then today it's more like 60. There we go. Bit of a panorama. So, Wascana Creek, the golf course. That's the Rcmp Museum. And then a little bit of the training depot there. Royal Regina Golf Course. And the creek. And the path we just came along in Optimist Park. Trouble with going up, you have to go down. Funny that. Baseball diamond football field over there. My daughter's high school is right over there. We'll end up walking by it after I get to Dewdney. She's not in high school anymore, but that's where she went. Hello. Geese being picturesque, as they're wont to do. To be a city-owned field. It's not actually the schools. And they probably don't play their games here. I really don't know. They might some. A lot of the high school games actually are played at Mosaic Stadiums. Or at least some of them are. Optimist athletic fields. So yeah, there's a bit more of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Training Depot over there, where all the Mounties in Canada train, and their museum right next to that. That was not a natural hill, no. It's probably made from landfill. They probably dug it out of the creek, would be my guess, at some point. Definitely not a natural hill. Those are natural geese, though. Baseball diamond over here now. More picturesque geese. Lots of bulrushes down there. Cattails, I guess, actually. There was a time when I was more of a biker and I rode along this path a lot. But I lost my enthusiasm when I had an accident on it. It's funny how that'll do. Didn't hurt myself, but somebody on another bike broke their arm. We collided going under that bridge back there, actually. I think I was in my lane, but she wasn't in hers, I think. Anyway, our pedals hit and down we both went. I almost went over the railing into the creek where there were a bunch of rocks. I'm really glad I didn't. Anyway, kind of soured me on the riding your bike along here, especially for trying to do it rapidly for exercise. And then my bike was stolen, so that kind of put it into that. Anyway, hi Kirk from Vancouver. I've had 3 bicycles stolen out of my garages since living in Regina in the 30 years I've lived here. 32 years I've lived here. 33 years I've lived here. I've lived here for a third of a century. That doesn't seem right. I'm from Weyburn. I'm not from Regina. But I've lived here longer than anywhere else. I hear bagpipes. Probably not carrying into the mic yet, but we might be getting closer where you will hear them. Going to Grassic Park. And again, part of the Trans-Canada Trail. If you want to walk all the way across Canada, you'd be on this at some point. Sounds like they might be coming across the creek from the Rcmp depot there. Training depot. Can you hear them? You have a choice. Go that way or you go that way. She went that way. We'll go this way. So yes, every Mountie in Canada trains over there. Can't see much of it, but that's where they hang out. And then behind the trees is the Rcmp Museum, which is a national museum of national note. There's sort of a building over there with a sloping red roof. That's the parade building. That's where graduations and things are held. I've been in there several times. Cobra chickens. That's a good name for geese. They can be quite hissy. I've always heard that they could theoretically break your leg if they hit you with a wing, but I've never heard of that actually happening. Yes, so 27,500 kilometers. That's because it winds. It's not a straight path. That doesn't sound right even with the winding. 27,500, I mean, it's only 2,000 kilometers from here to Toronto. But I suppose if it's windy enough, it could be that long. Take a while to walk anyway. Okay, so we're gonna go up here onto Dewdney. Once we reach it, up here, then we'll walk down and take a turn through Government House Garden, I think, and go by Luther College High School, where my daughter went to high school, as we work our way back toward the car. For a minute I thought there was no sidewalk on this side, but I think there is. Okay, we will, no need to walk all the way up there, we'll cut across the grass and head back down Dewdney here. I have walked out there, it goes on and on. As I said, eventually it reaches where I was last weekend. Dewdney is long and straight, but there are some interesting things along the way. This was a major road when the city was first. The Government House was out this way. It runs right next to the rail line, and the Rcmp were out here. But downtown ended up much further west. And that's why Regina has this ridiculously strung out structure from that period. CP put its station, so all the warehouses and everything for homesteaders ended up way down there. And Government House and the Rcmp are way out here. And most cities like Edmonton, for example, the Government House and all that is closer to downtown, but that's what we got. Had to do with land speculation. Canadian Pacific did its best to thwart land speculation. So when it knew that people had bought up a lot of land, I remember from the book, there's one place where they literally changed their plans, and instead of putting a station in one particular town, was it in BC? They did it a few kilometers away, rendering all of this land speculation worthless. And I don't remember the details enough to say exactly how it all worked out here, but I do remember that that's why we're all stretched out like this. So the park we walked through is just right over there. Hi, Miriam from India. It is a good example of vanishing point in perspective, this sidewalk. I can't actually read whatever was posted there, Charles, last time. It's scrolled by. So here's the ballpark I was walking down the other side of. I should walk over on that side. I haven't walked in that neighborhood over there very much. But not today. One of the nicer baseball diamonds and fields in town. Not much in the way of stands, but nice field. And lit. Because we're still probably 4 or 5 kilometers down to downtown and the rail yards and the warehouses straight ahead. Yeah, there certainly are lots of like youth soccer and stuff like that. We tried it with my daughter and it didn't take, so she was little, she didn't care about it. I found it boring to sit and watch her. She was more interested in dance and figure skating and stuff like that, so we'll go over here just to vary this. And okay, it's just a big gravel lot, but that's my daughter's high school, Luther College High School, straight ahead. The Simple Gymnasium, S-E-M-P-L-E. That's the sort of blank wall right in front of us, is the largest high school gymnasium in Saskatchewan. Luther has a very famous invitational basketball tournament, LIT, Lutheran Invitational Tournament. They invite major high school teams from across Western Canada. Luther itself always loses because Luther's only about 400 students and some of these other schools are, 4,000 or 5,000, I guess. It's very rare for Luther to win its own tournament. The women won once they started having a women's tournament. Girls. But anyway, so that's Luther College High School. Been in there many times for many things. When I sang with the Prairie Chamber Choir, which was started by Dr. Melissa Morgan, who's now the choir director at University of Regina. At the time, she was the music teacher here at Luther. When she went to the university, she dropped the Prairie Chamber Choir, and it folded. Members voted on not continuing it without her as the director. It was a great choir. It's great to sing with. Anyway, we rehearsed in here. Although over in the older part of the building is where the music room is. So this is all pretty new over here. This is where I would drop off my daughter, and she would go in there in the mornings, and I would come in here when I went for rehearsal. It's a simple gymnasium. Jack Semple is in some ways the most famous of the Semples. He's a guitarist, musician. If you look him up, he's a fabulous guitarist. Oh, who said hello there? Hi, Theodore. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm not seeing you now, but you know what I mean. You're in Ireland now, I believe, if I remember right. Oh, let's go around the corner here. This is the old gymnasium and is now the auditorium and chapel space. The house over there is the president's house. Luther College, this is Luther College High School, but there's also Luther College at the University of Regina. And they're all one organization, really. Doesn't look like a very conducive to walking down there, but we can go this way and keep looking at the school. So there's the old gym doors. And then this is the old part of the school, which goes back to 1914, I think. So well over 100 years old. Even the gym here, although it looks old now, is newer than the original part of the school, which is right here. I'd sometimes drop my daughter off on this side and she'd go in from there. Still has some flowers out. The frost hasn't killed them. And if you look up, look way up. There's the crest. All the way up to the top. And then over there is the dorms, because they do have boarding students. Most of them from overseas, though not necessarily. But lovely little bit of garden here. I guess the last time I was here for anything much was I'll wait for that to go by, and I can probably get by without getting wet. I'm going to go into the field on the other side. Alice's high school graduation in 2019 when she graduated. So there's a good view of the whole place. Funny, when your kid starts high school, it seems like they'll be there forever, but those 4 years went by awfully fast. Okay, this is Luther's football field here. It says right there on the sign. Over here is Christ Lutheran Church. Been in there many times. The aforementioned Prairie Chamber Choir had its concerts and did recordings and stuff in here. And of course, this is also the school associated, the church associated with the school the most. And so the choirs from Luther, with my daughter sang in, would also perform here. So I know that building very well. Look down the football field. Everything's still nice and green. No frosts yet. Oof. Let's just climb that a little more carefully. Now we're going to walk straight into the Edwardian Garden over here, which is part of Government House. Government House at one point was the residence of the Lieutenant Governor, and when it was built, there was an older one back behind me now, it's not there anymore. When it was built, this wasn't a province, it was the capital of the Northwest Territories. So everything that's Western Canada, and I guess the Yukon, most of Nunavut, was all governed from an office in, well, the flowers look a little dead over there. It's all governed from an office here in Government House. It's now a museum, but it's still the office of the Lieutenant Governor. And of course, in the parliamentary system, the Lieutenant Governor is the Queen's representative. Has to sign all bills and, consults with premiers. And does a lot of ceremonial stuff, actually, of course. Oh yeah, this bit of garden is a memorial garden for soldiers in the Second World War. So the Edwardian Gardens were designed as a series of sort of rooms. So you have paths going to different parts of the garden. Despite not having had frost, a lot of the flowers seem to be gone. Nice benches to sit on. We will somewhat sneakily watch that bit of grass. I've been to concerts, outdoor concerts here. Traditionally on July 1st, there's a big outdoor event here that you can come to, and they also do a New Year's Eve levee that you can come to and meet the Lieutenant Governor and all that sort of thing. We'll go on through these archways, and then we'll go down the ceremonial drive to the front of the house. I wrote the history book. Well, there was an existing history book, but I brought it up to date and rewrote it a few years ago. Up through the Governor General, the Lieutenant Governor before the current Lieutenant Governor. So that was fun. So I interviewed people all about the making of this garden and the museum, and the part extending out in front of this is the Queen Elizabeth II wing, which was built in 2005 when she was here to open it. So it's designed to match the old building, but under current heritage architectural guidelines, you have to be sure that it's quite clearly not part of the old building. You don't try to deceive people into thinking it's something it isn't. So the Lieutenant Governor's offices are in this wing. And then in the main part of what was the house is now a museum that's made to look like it was when the Lieutenant Governors lived here. The porte cochere here. See, there's the seal and the plaque. It's the home from 1891 to 1905 of the Northwest Territories, and then of Saskatchewan from 1905 to 1945. The socialist government that came in decided it didn't need no heritage type house like this, and basically stripped the place. It got really run down, but then it was rejuvenated. One of the more unforgivable things that Tommy Douglas did, he's considered a great Canadian, and he did lots of good things, but what he did to Government House was a sin. Heritage speaking, heritage-wise. Now that's where you would go in if you're going to the museum. And then down at that end with the slightly paler brick is the ballroom, which I've sung in many times. Well, I haven't sung in that many times, but I have sung in it. I'd love to go that way, but I might get stuck. So I guess we'll go around the front. Yes, we're very close to official fall. This is a senior's home next to me here. There was another wing of it, or another part of it, out here. They tore it down not that long ago and put in a big new parking lot for Government House, which is very much needed. The old parking lot was tiny, just down at this end, really. We're working our way over to the Lewvan, where there's a bridge that will take me under the railroad tracks and back to the car. Pioneer Village. And of course, when these places were built, there was literally pioneers that were in them, people who had homesteaded here in the early 20th century. Now, of course, you're getting to the point where the people in seniors' homes, some of them are aging baby boomers. So the old-time music they'll be playing on Saturday nights is increasingly going to be Rolling Stones cover bands and things like that. That's my theory, anyway. I have no idea where I'm going now, so we're just walking and assuming we can get through. It looks like we can. I've never walked down this bit of road before, or been on this side of Pioneer Village here. It actually goes on farther than I thought. It's quite a large place. Staff and visitors entrance is there. Okay. Oh, here. Let's go between the... Now that brick building over there on the other side of the Lewvan, you can see the cars going around the Lewvan, is the Pasqua Hospital. At one point it was called Grey Nuns, the old part. My mother was in there once when it was Grey Nuns when I was a kid. I've been in there myself, unfortunately. I really hate being in the hospital, funny that. Do my best to avoid it. I recommend you do too. Then you have the Fairgrounds over there, the exhibition grounds. And somewhere up here I know I can get onto a path under the railway bridge we're coming up to, because I've done it before. Available immediately. You can rent. Although it doesn't have a sign that tells you how to contact them, so. Yeah, talking about fall, I encountered the term meteorological autumn. Apparently September 1st is when that starts. So from a weather point of view, we're already in autumn, according to this. And I think it was NOAA, the U.S. Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, where I got that from. And they must be doing laundry. Must be coming from I smell it very strongly, coming from the vent in the laundry room. But of course, astronomical autumn is determined by the equinox, which is apparently on the 22nd this year. Some slightly newer buildings here. It says for sale, so they must be condos, not apartments. Yeah, so that's the exhibition grounds over there. That's where I got my vaccines, both of them. 2 different kinds, because I like variety. Well, it's just the way they were offered. And I did read that you possibly got a better level of protection from having a mixture, but I think Canada is one of the few places that did it. And apparently there are some places in the world where that would not be considered fully vaccinated. So, fortunately, I'm not planning to leave the continent or even the country anytime soon. Good vibes, good vibes. Well, I do my best. Rcmp, I guess that is. I'm vibrating all over the place. Vibrating good. I'm vibrating good. Good, 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 good vibrations. Good, 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 good vibrations. Woo! Great. Now that's going to be stuck in my head. Don't know how, I don't know where, but she sends me there. Speaking of aging baby boomer music, which I was a few minutes ago. Honest. No further yet before we get the path I want to get on. But I know it exists. Well, this is going to turn into a somewhat longer walk than I thought, but that's okay. It's Sunday. So yeah, there's the exhibition grounds over there. And the big white dome is Mosaic Stadium, home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the Canadian Football League. That's where the fair was held a while ago. I didn't go. Even without COVID, I don't really enjoy that sort of thing. I never did, even as a kid. I used to really want to go as a kid, but every time I went, I got sick. On the rides made me feel queasy, and I did throw up on one once, and I was in Weyburn, and people who run them really hate it when you do that. Did learn a lesson though. A friend of mine got sucked into one of the games in Weyburn. He had like $20, which was a lot, I think, to spend, and he gambled it all away, sure that he could win it back. We must have been like 10 or 11 at the time. So that was a good lesson in why you don't gamble. The house always wins. I think up here is where I can get on the path. That'll take me under the railroad tracks. So what did I learn from going to the fair? 1, that I don't like throwing up. And 2, that you can lose all your money. Those were early childhood lessons. I also threw up once in the back of my brother's Studebaker, which didn't impress him either, on the way back from the fair in Tulia, Texas, which means I was about 7. And he would have been 19. So if you're a teenager and your little brother throws up in the back seat of your prized car, you're not happy. And then your little brother is not happy, and nobody's happy. So a lot of my experiences at fairs have been unhappy, now that I think about it. So that's probably why I don't go out of my way to go to them. So we just follow this sidewalk. Will take us under the railroad tracks, and then I'm not too far down over there. Another 3 or 4 blocks where the car is. Oh, I don't know what they're doing here behind this fence. Oh, I guess that's always been there. Don't know what it is though. Curb box, it says. FPC Industries, it says. What does it do? Something electrical? Doesn't have any wires going to it. I have no idea. A little more good vibrations for you. So that's the railroad track going over our heads. CP Main Line, the one that was built in the 19th century, the first transcontinental railroad in Canada. Which was a far greater challenge than the one in the States because it was much, much longer and even rockier Rockies and the Canadian Shield, which was probably one of the worst places to build. So it was a very tough undertaking. Okay, we are now on the same side of the railroad track as the car. And we're on the right side of the creek. We never crossed the creek actually on this one. Walked beside it but didn't cross it. Some more fall color up there. And on the ground. Very close now. Just about 2 blocks to my right up here. That's where the car's parked. There's a lot for sale if you'd like to build new. A couple of newer places along here. Taking advantage of the view, such as it is. It's not much. You'd still be looking into those trees. Up here is 13th. Hey Roger, almost done. You're coming in late. 13th and Lewvan. I think I can risk it. Pretty sure no car is going to surprise me from that direction. Parks and Maintenance District 3. Now on a previous walk, this sidewalk was being built, so this is brand new this summer. There's the wind that I encountered when I first began. It was really quite blowy up on the dike. It's been more sheltered everywhere else I've been so far, but I can feel it again now. Little city park, the little playground. This is newish too, this bike path here. I don't know about these things. They're so little used, you wonder, are they really cost effective in any way? Or just annoying to the people who used to park along here? I mean, especially over here. Here's a new house. We're going up here to the Italian Club. I've played in Italian. I played Tony Esposito, not the hockey player, in a musical called The Most Happy Valley. Most Happy Fella. So I'm the most happy fella in the whole Napa Valley. In the whole Napa Valley, the most happy man, that's me. Thank you very much. One of my favorite roles, actually. He spends most of the second act, I think, in a wheelchair because of our accident at the end of the first act, which was fine, except we built an extension on the stage at Dark Hall, and unfortunately it was during a rehearsal, we discovered it. It had a bit of a lip, so I rolled my wheelchair onto the extension and did my bit, and then was unable to return to the stage because of this little lip, so we had to fix that. Fortunately, we caught it in rehearsal and not in, like, the first night. There's the Italian Club. This is where Taste of Cathedral is usually held, where all the restaurants from the area sell food, and there's a silent auction and it raises money for, I think, for the Cathedral Village Neighborhood Association or something like that. And there's the car in the dike where we started. So we have come full circle, even though it wasn't a circle. Just a squiggly line that ended up intersecting itself. That's that. So thanks for walking with me. Tomorrow will be my usual walk along Wascana Creek. Bye for now.